Welcome back here to Mighty Mac on YouTube. Once again, if you guys like the content provided, be sure to subscribe today to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. We're going to be recapping qualifying here for the Arizona National, as well as looking forward to tomorrow's eliminations, as well as all the big news coming into this weekend regarding the top fuel class. If you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on, subscribe today to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So the big story heading into this weekend was the rule change regarding top fuel with the canard wings or the mud flaps or whatever you want to call them. If you don't know what I'm referring to, if you look on the dragsters on the side right behind where the cockpit is, right before the engine, those little tiny flaps that stick out the side of the dragsters, those have now become optional. Kayla Siddell from Drag Illustrated actually talked to some of the crew chiefs as well as drivers regarding the rule change as well as where the idea came from, and she was able to uncover some of the backstory on where this idea came from. Following the Vegas race, if you remember back there, Sean Langdon had a massive tire failure in his semifinal round matchup against Doug Coletta that actually ended up canceling the rest of the day's events because of the cleanup that was required, as well as the cold conditions coming in, forcing it into the Monday. After that, the Coletta camp worked with Toyota and actually sent one of their dragsters out to Toyota's wind tunnel to test to see what might be causing these tire failures because they've been happening so frequently in the past. Doug Coletta the year prior had a tire failure out at Reading, Pennsylvania. He ended up winning the championship in the backup dragster, but that's besides the point. And then to start off the new season, Antron Brown had a tire failure at Bradenton for the shootout, and then Dan Mercier had an equal tire failure in Gainesville during the Q2 run. So there were some massive questions on what was causing these tire failures. And in that wind tunnel test regarding the Coletta Cam and Toyota, they found out that the mud flaps on the dragsters might be causing enough downforce pressure to the tires to cause them to burst. Toyota approached the NHRA with ideas on how to change the canard wings, whether that be the angle or the design or the shape of it to kind of lower the pressure forced onto the tires. NHRA shot the idea down. Brian Husitz, the crew chief for Sean Langdon's dragster, actually openly ended up saying, I'd rather just change it entirely and just take them off rather than changing the design. NHRA is more open to that idea, and then we ended up having the rule change made where for the next 4 races, it is now optional to run the wings entirely. So now teams have the option of not running the mud flaps on the side of the dragsters, but they still have to cover the side of the car where the hole is missing from the wings. And now that made it a lot more interesting for this qualifying session as multiple teams experimented on running with or without the wings. Only one team ran all 4 qualifying sessions without the wings, that being Brittany Force. John Collins went as far as to call the mud flaps entirely useless. They were the only teams that went all 4 sessions. The other team that came close was Sean Reed, who ran Q1 with the wings, then from Q2 to Q4 ran without them entirely. And to make matters even more interesting, in Q2, which was the hot session of the night where everybody was saying low ATs and really decided the qualifying ladder for the most part, besides the bottom half cars who were unable to make it down the racetrack, the top 4 results in that timing order were all drivers who ran without the flaps, which you'll hear about later. So honestly, I would rather this become the rule entirely. This made qualifying a lot more interesting to see which teams are doing what. It kind of reminds me back to the IndyCar days of the United Aero Kit eras in the mid-2010s, where teams were experimenting with aero changes to see what worked in separate conditions. It made it a lot more interesting heading into qualifying in Indianapolis because of what teams were doing differently to the wings because of the options they had. And this kind of felt the same way. Seeing teams come around the corner heading into the water box without the wings on the side, knowing, okay, they're going for it, they're trying something different. So I honestly hope that regardless of whether or not this is the thing that changes the tire pressures enough to where it doesn't cause them to burst, I just hope that they keep the rule entirely and we have the option to take them off, because this makes top fuel a lot more interesting to watch in qualifying and adds a whole nother layer to the setup changes and something that fans can actually look at and understand what the differences are being made. So I hope that this is something that teams are able to do regardless of the next 4 races. I hope this just becomes a solidified rule that everybody can do. As for qualifying itself, Tony Stewart continues to make momentum in the 2025 season. Was really frustrated with how 2024 ended. Came into the shootout looking like the similar conditions were going to happen. Had not a lot of good runs. Said it was a horrible test. Goes into Gainesville. Believe only smoked the tires twice and had clean runs throughout the rest of the weekend. Comes into here at Arizona, same thing, continues to build momentum. 4 clean runs in qualifying, including a trip to the Too Fast, Too Tasty finals, where even though he lost to Sean Langdon, had another clean run and actually lost in a head-to-head race against Sean Langdon in a very close finish. So keep an eye on the direct connection Top Fuel dragster, as they seem to really be turning a corner to go after this Top Fuel world title and potentially getting Tony Stewart a national event while in the Mission Foods Series. As for the rest of the Too Fast, Too Tasty, Ron Capps continues his hunt back to the top of the class after making the finals in Gainesville, losing to Chad Green. He arrived in Arizona, wins the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge, and is now on a roll to potentially become the guy to beat this season in Funny Car. As for Pro Stock, the return of the natural, Jeg Coughlin Jr. won the Pro Stock Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge in the most Jeg Coughlin way possible, winning on a whole shot in both rounds against Greg Anderson and Dallas Glenn to take out the 2 top cars in the KB Titan camp to win the Too Fast, Too Tasty, now putting his name back in the hunt for another Pro Stock World Championship. And lastly, before we get into qualifying, a huge shout out to Mike Stavrinos, who won the Gator Nationals rerun that happened just now out in Arizona, defeating Ricky Smith in the final round to capture the Gator Nationals Wally. So congratulations to him and good luck to him tomorrow, as well as the rest of the Pro Mod camp that is running there this weekend. And now, without further ado, let's take a look at your qualifying recap. In Pro Stock, the hometown boy Matt Harford ends up number 1 qualifier with a 650 with a 9. Dallas Glenn, the KB Titan teammate, rounds out second with a 51. Corey Reed rounds out third with a 651 with a 6, continuing his momentum from Gainesville. Greg Anderson completes the top 4 KB Titans sweep with a 652. Troy Coughlin Jr., the number 1 driver out of the elite camp, with a 653. Christian Quadra down in 6th. Eric Latino with an impressive qualifying result up in 7th, and Mason McGahey rounds out the field in the top half in the 8th position. Derek Kramer rounds out 9th. Eric Anders once again down near the 10th position for the 2nd race in a row. Aaron Stanfield down 11th. Greg Stanfield 12th. David Quadra in 13th. Jeg Coughlin Jr. to Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge winner ends up 14th. Fernando Quadra Jr. down in 15th, and Brandon Foster rounds out the field in 16th. So a really top-heavy KB Titan ladder to decide qualifying this week. And as for the racers not in the show, Chris McGahey, first car out in 17th, tied with Cody Coughlin in 18th. Stephen Bell down in 19th. Kenny Delco in 20th, and Matt Latino ends up 21st. Matt Latino with the most interesting moment of the weekend, as during his Q2 run during the burnout while backing up, he got squirrely heading back to the starting line and ended up elbowing the latch on the door, causing it to fall off and costing his Q2 run, ultimately probably costing him a chance at making the race. In Funny Car, Bob Taskett III, the man that some people called out for not qualifying fast enough at Gainesville, ends up number 1 qualifier with a 386 with a 3 to take the number 1 spot. Austin Prock not far behind him, a 388 with a 3. Looks like Bob Taskett might have his number. It's actually really close this weekend compared to what we saw last year. Could the cracks be forming in Austin Prock's camp, or is Austin Prock going to once again find a way to come back and regain control of the Funny Car class? Jack Beckman, the JFR teammate, rounds out 3rd. Your Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge winner Ron Capps rounds out 4th. Pauline 5th. Alex DeJoria with an impressive run up in 6th, continuing the momentum based off of Gainesville. Actually did not run the Q4 session to save parts as well, because of the fact they only have 1 body and 1 chassis, and they lost a lot of parts in their Gainesville trip. Bobby Bodie, again running for the DC camp, finishes 7th, and Daniel Wilkerson rounds out 8th. J.R. Todd, an impressive run in 9th this weekend. It might not look like a good result, but with Dickie Venables on the crew chiefing role now for that car, it is looking very impressive of what that team has been able to do. 4 clean runs, and it looks like they're really starting to turn a corner to make waves in the Funny Car class. Matt Hagan down in 10th, Cruz Pedregon in 11th, Chad Green in 12th, the Chad Green Motorsports teammate Blake Alexander in 13th, Dave Richards in 14th, Buddy Hall down in 15th, and John Capps making a return to Funny Car, driving for the Nitro Muse team. He ends up bumping himself in the field in 16th. As for the cars not in the show, Spencer Hyde at the Jim Head Racing Camp finishes 17th. Jim Campbell, driving a Terry Haddock-backed car, finishes 18th. Jeff Deal 19th, and Terry Haddock down in 20th. Both the Terry Haddock entries will be heading home early. Lastly, in Top Fuel now, to make this interesting, we're going to actually keep track of the cars that ran without mud flaps. Number 1 qualifier Doug Coletta ends the day with a 368 with an 8 that was set back in Q2 without the mud flaps. Brady 4th and 2nd got it in Q2 without the flaps. Sean Langdon in 3rd as well without the flaps, and Antron Brown was the last one at 710 who got in Q2 without the flaps. Then the next 3 drivers never ran at all without the flaps on. Each of the runs always had the canards on. That includes Clay Milliken in 5th, Justin Ashley 6th, and Tony Stewart down in 7th. Sean Reed in 8th got his run down in Q2 without the flaps, and then the rest of the people in the field ran with the mud flaps on, including Ida Zetterstrom in 9th, Jasmine Salinas in 10th, Josh Hart down in 11th, Scott Palmer in 12th, Steve Chrisman in 13th, and Travis Shoemake in 14th. Only 14 dragsters on the Pride Race weekend, so whoever wins round 1 in the number 1 or 2 pair is going to have a bye into the semi-finals. And as always, we have highlights courtesy of our friends from NHRA on Fox. Let's take a look at that, and then we can look forward to Sunday eliminations.
Sean Langdon adjusted for it, and Langdon runs off into the Arizona afternoon. A 380 outruns a 384.4. A very impressive run, second quick of the session, and just pulled Tony Stewart down the track with a rope.
And the first Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty winner of the season is to Sean Langdon. You'll see the medal presented by Mission Foods representative Angel Sempay. And Sean, Tony Pedregon was mentioned just how steady your race car looks. Why was it consistency that won this for you today?
Well, you know, I mean, it's really just this last year, you know, Brian Husen coming on board, and the whole group, the whole team's turned it around. We don't have our clutch guy, Jeff. He's not here this week, and he had a health scare last week. So he's at home watching. Jeff, we're thinking about you. This one's for you. Can't wait for you to get back. But, you know, for everybody at Colette Air Toyota, you know, the car's been doing good. I clicked it a little early right there. Sorry, Brian. You probably went 79 there. That's on me. But good job to the team. Good job to everybody. We're just happy to get this win. Obviously, a little bit of extra money, a little bit of countdown points, and a good start to the year. Hopefully we can cap it off tomorrow with the win.
Hagan's car smokes the tires, and Ron Capps will be the first Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge winner in Funny Car this year, and he does so with a 398.9 at 318 miles an hour.
Oh, Ron Capps up at the top end, just taking in the entire moment. He's talking about seeing a win light in competition, whether that's on Sunday or here in the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. How will this help with momentum that this team needs?
Oh, a win light's a win light, but this is a special event. And let's not forget, Napa boys won this inaugural thing. We went all the way to Indy and won the big one. So we're so happy Mission put this deal up, because for the fans it's exciting. For us racers, it's all really exciting. I got a long-time supporter in Napa family. Tony Wilson, Gail gave this to me, brought his ashes for a ride, and he was one of the biggest Ron Capps and supporters. But our Napa guys, Toyota, we got F3 here. They're from here, so a win's a win, but my gosh, this is so cool. And I don't get to take this home yet, but we're going to try and steal it later. Yeah! Woo!
Jake Coughlin, Dallas Glenn. The fire department copy side for Glenn, Toyota side for Coughlin. They snap off the starting line. Jake had a significant starting line advantage, but does the performance lie with Glenn? No, it's another hole shot win. He hole shotted his way through both rounds to win this thing.
And in pro stock, Jed Coughlin Jr. will pick up the first Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge here in Phoenix. The presentation by Angel Sempay from Mission Foods. And Jeg, Dallas was talking about how lethal you are at the starting line. He knew he had to ready himself for this round. How do you steady yourself in that position?
Well, it's game day. You know, Saturday with the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty is game day, just like Sunday. And you know, everyone in Elite Motorsports wants to see one of our cars come out victorious. And fortunately today, I was the only one in the Final Four for today's event. You know, we've worked on the car quite a bit coming into the event, worked on it a ton more last night and this morning, and we're fortunate enough just to stay qualified in the number 14 spot. So to get this win today, thank you all.
650 with a 9:208.20. Corey Reed got there first, ran 51.6, was number one qualifier for a couple of thousandths of a second, and Hartford takes it from him. 650 with a 9. Oh, look at the brakes on the Total Seal Camaro. Hartford really getting after him down there. Those carbon fiber brakes. Final pair, Nitro Funny Car. .386, 330, 382, low ET, top speed, Bob Tasca, your number one qualifier. .831 to the 60-foot clock, 368.8, 368.8, new number one qualifier, Doug Coletta goes to the top.
And that is going to wrap up the video looking into Sunday afternoon. I think it's going to be a very exciting race to watch, especially with, again, the Top Fuel edition of not having the Canard Wings and Funny Cars, seeing the return of Bob Tasca III and Ron Capps, with Austin Prock seeming to be on the back foot heading into the second race of the season, as well as Jack Beckman starting to really find ground in the JFR camp as well. And then in Pro Stock, top heavy with the KB Titan cars, but we just saw the number 14 qualifier, Jed Coughlin, beat two of the top guys without the ET, getting it solely on reaction time and a whole shot. It's going to be an exciting race tomorrow. I still have to look at my drag racing Bracket Bonanza picks to see who I'm going to think is going to win this race. Be sure to get those in tonight. It's going to be a very exciting race tomorrow. And again, I think it's going to be a situation of nobody's going to have a correct guess based solely on what they think. Is going to be solely based on luck to get these picks in to order to win the event. So be sure to comment down below who you think is going to win and what you have thought of the current weekend out in Arizona. Be sure to follow me on the social media pages down below at MightyMac03 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as TikTok, but I don't really post there. And be sure to subscribe today to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. And until tomorrow night, this has been Mighty Mac. We'll see you next time.